This is 37 Families, Season 2, Chapter 7. This episode is about actualization as nonlinear consciousness. As explained in a previous podcast, about 10% of the population exists in a completely self-actualized state wherein they act upon every impulse. This gives them the unique vantage point of being able to look into all of the dissonant consensual universes where an impulse goes negated, since they are merely retrograde projections of the actualized self, plus the negation. This means that to us, they have an appearance of nonlinearity, in that they appear, from a dissonant consensuality, to be capable of being present in multiple streams or locations. But this is merely symptomatic of their presence within the dissonant projection, as negating the impulse, which their actualized self expressed, and the actualized state. In other words, if you exist in a dissonant projection, you may believe yourself to be alone in your house, talking to a friend by phone. But this friend may also be present in your house, a ghost in the projection, by consequence of the fact that you exist in a dissonant projection. They may also be in your dissonant projection, at their house, in a subsidiary state, a projected state, created as a consequence of negation of the impulse, which led to them being actualized and present in your home. To put it another way, let me rephrase the example. Imagine that at the beginning of the night, you had a chance to ask the friend over to hang out. But you ignored the impulse. Now, the actualized you acted on the impulse, and the friend came over. Now, in the dissonant projection, the friend also had the impulse to see if you wanted to come over, and negated it. Thus, in your dissonant projection, you exist in an unactualized state, as does your friend, but she also exists in your home, in an actualized state. Now, due to some element of nonlinearity within actualized self, being capable of looking in to dissonant projections, the actualized friend may be able to interact with your dissonant projection to some limited degree, according to the overlap with your actualized self. Now, there are certain rules to reach the actualized reality. First, you must act on every impulse as they occur. If you wait, they will be appropriated. Second, you must act with total commitment. Third, you must accept responsibility for the consequences which result. This is important, because the actualized self spares others from having to accept the consequences of your impulses, by proxy after appropriation. In a way, acting pursuant to actualized self ensures the fairest determination of events. Now, the 10% of the population who exist in an actualized state also possess an extended degree of awareness for another reason. Namely, that the consciousness of all adheres to their consciousness. In other words, to some degree, although they exist in a linear stream, their knowledge is somewhat nonlinear. This must be juxtaposed to true nonlinearity, where it is physicality, which is nonlinear rather than consciousness. That's the end of the podcast for today.